We have covered the story of Billy Billions on the channel since 2022 and also cases relating to what the police say was a war in Hackney. Some people may not know that Billy beat a case in 2022 in relation to possession of a firearm when he was caught in a convoy of cars heading through Hackney, and in his latest trial that has now resulted in him getting sentenced to a minimum of 39 years in prison is connected to a conspiracy to murder and also firearm possession. This week at the Old Bailey, he has been jailed for 33 years for conspiracy to murder after several people were shot inside a car. 5 men were injured, one of them was blinded and one of them was left disabled. Bailey, known as Billy Billions, 28 years old at the time of sentencing, was jailed for 33 years on Thursday the 2nd of October. He had previously been convicted for conspiracy to murder and possession of a firearm. He was given 13 years for the firearm, and in total he will have to serve 39 years. Following a 3-week trial, he was found guilty on the 15th of July. He had also been convicted of the firearm in April 2024. 3 other members of a gang called 9/8 that's connected to the postcodes in Hackney have also been jailed for their involvement in this case. Detective Superintendent Matthew Webb, who led the investigation, said this shooting was harrowing and had a life-changing impact on the victims and their families. Sadly, these 4 men have shown no remorse or concern for the injuries they caused to the innocent members of the public. They wanted to thank the victims and family for their support and patience, and they hope this sentence brings some justice and they take responsibility for what they did. He said he was also grateful to the investigation team and the partners in the Crown Prosecution Service for the determination and professionalism and the lengthy sentences that were handed to all 4 of them. The sentencing of McKenzie concludes this investigation, which has taken almost 5 years to get to this stage. They said that Bailey's music influenced people and orchestrated significant violent criminality, and it stemmed from territorial gang disputes. Bailey McKenzie, Ruel Briscoe, Julian Kalala and Dalvane Greenaway were part of a gang that was based in the E8 postcode area and were involved in territorial disputes with rival gangs in London Fields. The court heard that social media was used to glorify the gang and take part in violent crimes and raise tensions between the gangs in the lead up to the shooting on the 14th of December 2020. At approximately 9:45 p.m, Briscoe, Kalada and Greenaway were in a vehicle. They pulled up to a car that they wrongly thought contained members of a rival gang that was on Middleton Road in Hackney. They fired multiple shots at the car before fleeing the scene. The court heard that McKenzie was involved in the planning of the ride-out and supplied the firearms that was used in the shooting. Inside the vehicle that was shot at was 5 innocent young men, aged 21 and 22 at the time. They had nothing to do with the gangs and were meeting to celebrate a friend's birthday. 3 of the men were shot and 1 of them received permanent life-changing injuries following the shooting. Police worked closely to quickly identify those that were in the car through CCTV. Briscoe was identified as the driver and was arrested the following day. His phone was seized and submitted for forensic digital analysis that led to the discovery of significant evidence and intelligence for the investigation. Following a group chat used to plan motives for the violent incidents, the police said that they used Snapchat and planned and plotted to take lives. Ruel Briscoe, 32 years old of no fixed address, was found guilty of conspiracy to murder and possession of a firearm and was sentenced at the Old Bailey on the 28th of October 2022 to a minimum term of 34 years. Dalvane Greenaway of Hackney was also found guilty on 19th of October 2023 for conspiracy to commit murder and possession of a firearm. He was jailed for a minimum of 28 years. Julian Kalada from Hackney was also found guilty of conspiracy to murder and possession of a firearm and was jailed for at least 34 years. Bailey has released a statement in relation to the outcome of the trial, and he has accused the jury of racism and claimed police corruption and evidence tampering by specific officers. And we're going to read out the statement that he released officially to his fans in connection to this case. In his statement, Billy said that Detective Constable Clinton Lennon, the lead detective in charge of the case, altered evidence that was confirmed in court and under oath. He blamed another officer for this, specialist crime analyst Nicola Foskett. She stated under oath that she had proof that alterations were made by DC Lennon. DC Lennon had to later admit under oath that on at least 3 occasions he had changed key text and Snapchat messages that gave a completely different meaning to what was said, and not only supported the prosecution's case, but more importantly undermined his defence. He said he was convicted last year for giving a gun to somebody with the intent to enable them to endanger life, that he firmly denied. Not only were the jury unaware of the alterations to evidence DC Lennon made in the previous trial that resulted in a hung jury. The jury was also told that a bullet shell casing was found behind his sofa, but he has released video footage that shows that it was actually a hair ornament that is used for people with dreadlocks.
Have you looked up here?
Sometimes part-time waitressing.
What's that?
Sometimes like N18 Tottenham.
We've got more room than.
Oh, that's for hair. That's for hair. Yeah. So dreadlocks.
That's not a bullet. Take it back away then. That's not a bullet.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't that. No. No, definitely not.
So the judge said that some of his conspiracy statements were self-pitying, but at the same time, these are very serious incidents that occurred in relation to changing the context of wording in Snapchats is a massive impact on the case. He went on to say that he believes that his verdict was the product of a biased and unfair trial. His experience has shown that the dishonesty of the police and the justice system is real and corruption is real. He said he's no angel, but he's no killer, and I did not conspire to kill anyone or force anyone to do so. The trial showed body cam footage that exposed the shell casing was in fact a hair ornament used by people with dreadlocks, and his co-defendant is of Rastafarian descent, and that particular hairstyling is in accordance with his religion. The shell casing narrative was created to have him convicted, and it worked. When cornered by his defence barrister after confirming the search of the co-defendant's house was due to being suspected of being in possession of a firearm. Police Constable Maria Feinberg confirmed that she had found this alleged bullet behind the sofa, but had not put it in the evidence bag for 2 days. Another officer involved in the search said that he could not remember. He has also mentioned even if you have no serious previous convictions, bad character evidence will haunt you, even when it's not directly related to a case, because of a drill artist persona, and branding is enough to convict them. Basically stating, as somebody who has friends that have been convicted for murder, he must be a killer too. The jury was showing clips of him on holiday during the trial, which was in Turkey. He was with his friends on a resort that had a gun range, and he was completely legal and supervised, but they suggested that it was to train his co-defendants on how to shoot. They also showed the jury Instagram lives where he was interacting with fans while being present at a video shoot, and they suggested that he was doing this to provoke the opposition gang members and assert gang leadership. Gun prop pictures which were sent to him for a music video shoot were taken off his phone, and it was confirmed that 32,000 pictures were also on his phone at the time of all sorts of images. It was suggested by the prosecution, and the photographs of the gun proved that he had a propensity for crime. They also delved into his tally logo that is connected to his Billy Billions name. In his name they have Billy Billions and a tally sign, and they said that this is to represent a dead body count in connection to his gang. He then pointed out about a professor that contradicted himself about translating Snapchat conversations and song lyrics to suit the prosecution's argument. inconsistent Snapchat messages in a group of 30 plus people, and many were private conversations, and they did clearly not include me, but I was asked what they meant and what the convos were about. The prosecution was led by Alexander Healy KC, and he closed the case while knowing that they had withheld evidence that assisted his defence. Along with the judge's bias throughout the emotive 3-day summing up, he decided to introduce another theory for the jury to consider that was never in the prosecution's argument. He suggested in his opinion that I could still be found guilty on conspiracy to murder even if the jury believed my defence to be true. When questioned, the judge said he wouldn't change what he had advised the jury. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this isn't the first time Billy's been in court and his lyrics have been used against him, but at the same time, this is not actual evidence of a crime that's been committed. In UK courts, drill music, lyrics, videos and recordings have increasingly been admitted as evidence in prosecutions, particularly for gang-related violence. Under the Criminal Justice Act 2003, it is typically classified as bad character evidence under sections 98 and 101D of the Criminal Justice Act, which allows them to demonstrate a propensity for violence, gang affiliation or motive, rather than a direct confession, admission or specific crimes. The prosecution must argue its relevance in the case facts, such as linking lyrics to a modus operandi in gang attacks or joint enterprise liability, where multiple defendants are charged for one offence despite limited individual involvement. The Crown Prosecution Service's guidance permits drill videos and lyrics if they disclose relevant evidence of criminal activity, such as shared appearances indicating associations or references tying to the offences that they're being tried for. But at the same time, this isn't evidence, and they're saying themselves in the Criminal Justice Act that this cannot be considered evidence. But of course, when it's given to a jury, this is definitely going to lead to a bias in relation to the jury. From 2020 to 2023, drill music videos have been used in at least 68 cases involving 252 defendants. Most of them are black males aged 18 to 24 years old, for charges like murder, attempted murder, firearm possession and conspiracy to cause grievous bodily harm, and often in joint enterprise situations. The appeals have tripled since 2018, with music often treated as an aggravated sentencing factor rather than court evidence. In relation to precedents where gang music has been thrown out of court, Unknown T's 2020 murder acquittal resulted in the judge saying that the rap evidence would have biased his case, and Firearm's acquittal that followed cautioned against viewing drill lyrics as literal criminality. So I've noticed that a lot of pages are really making fun of this situation as well. They do it often where they'll post artists and then the second they get 40 years will talk about why they shouldn't say these lyrics and all this sort of stuff. But at the same time, it's really important to reflect and to understand, and this is exactly what Billions has done in his latest song, Don't Cry For Me, available on his own channel, where he depicts his life and also the mistakes and choices that he's made and also the friends that he's lost along the way. So really appreciate you joining me for this episode, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the appeal in relation to this case. And don't forget to follow, subscribe and join us on other social medias on Telegram, Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. And I'll be back again shortly. Peace.